A Channel 2 Action News investigation first caught a local drug rehab program lying to families and investigators. Now we've uncovered new claims which could be criminal. A local mother says Narconon of Georgia billed her insurance company after she had already paid in full. Channel 2's investigative reporter Jody Fleischer is here with what she uncovered that has Georgia's insurance commissioner investigating for fraud. Jody?
Jovita, we dug through stacks of records and found bills for treatment patients say they never received on days they weren't even at Narconon. We took what we found to state fraud investigators who have now opened their own case into potentially crooked care.
It shatters everyone, and it touches everyone.
19-year-old Emily Morton had been battling addiction for years. When her mom, Mary, found Narconon of Georgia on the internet, she hoped it would be the last program they would need.
You're a desperate parent. You want to save your child.
They handed over Emily's license and insurance card. She toured Narconon's classrooms and eventually signed this agreement outlining the total Narconon program service fee of $15,000. Her mom paid in full.
We were instructed to bring two checks, one for the $15,000 for the program, and then one for the housing.
At that point, did you think insurance was going to be billed?
No, because they had just basically said your insurance is not going to probably cover this. But I also didn't care. I would have paid anything.
And she thought she paid everything. But 7 months later, she logged onto her insurance company's website and noticed bill after bill from Narconon. More than $166,000. Even for weeks Emily was sent home for bad behavior, dozens of Sundays when her mom picked her up, and a full week after she left the program.
It was ridiculous. I mean, they billed for $58,000 for a doctor visits that she never saw a doctor.
That doctor was Narconon's medical director, Casey Locarnini, who runs this urgent care clinic in Dunwoody. Dr. Locarnini declined our request for an on-camera interview, but says he did not know Narconon had billed insurance under his name until we started asking questions. One of Emily's bills also listed former medical director Lisa Robbins, who described her role at Narconon under oath in 2010.
I was hired by them to do the physicals on their patients.
Did you ever visit the Narconon facility?
No.
Her practice manager told us if they indeed did bill under Dr. Robbins, this is insurance fraud, and she's never seen a patient named Emily Morton.
Sounds like a problem to me.
We showed the evidence to Georgia's insurance commissioner, who immediately opened a criminal case. 8 of Emily's bills listed partial hospitalization, which her insurance company rejected, saying coverage is not available for your continued stay at Narconon. But care could continue with outpatient providers. Narconon is only licensed for outpatient care.
If they have done it in one case, chances are that they've done it multiple times.
We questioned Narconon director Mary Reeser last fall when a Channel 2 investigation caught the program advertising as a residential facility.
I'm telling you, I do not represent this as inpatient. How could I get away with that? Somebody comes in, they're not going to see beds.
But state records showed 21 out of 28 patients told inspectors they were part of Narconon's residential program. The housing for $1,600 a month, 4 patients to an apartment in this complex.
They didn't say it's just an apartment complex that anybody can live in. It's ridiculous. They're preying upon the most vulnerable of people.
Narconon is now fighting to keep its state license. Emily's mom says she picked up the same drug-addicted daughter she left there.
Not one more person needs to be checked in there. Not today, not tonight, not tomorrow. It needs to stop now.
We are happy to tell you Emily is midway through another program that appears to be working. Narconon's director, Mary Reeser, and Dr. Locarnini both resigned within the past 2 weeks. And Narconon's attorney sent me a statement saying it follows customary and usual billing practices and that payment terms are clearly explained.
So if this turns out to be something that's provable, how serious of a crime are we talking about here?
Well, fraud investigators can't charge an organization or a company with anything. They would have to find a specific person who's responsible. If convicted, it can mean 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine.
Investigative reporter Jody Fleischer broke the story last fall, and she is live in Norcross with what officers found.
Justin, this criminal investigation is the direct result of a story we brought you earlier this year. The state insurance commissioner now says he has credible information of insurance fraud happening right here inside Narconon of Georgia. Today, we watched as his investigators gathered even more.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
Investigators with the State Insurance Commissioner's Fraud Unit and the Gwinnett District Attorney's Office burst into Narconon of Georgia Friday morning looking for evidence of crimes.
Perfect.
They hauled away nearly 24 computer hard drives and laptops and so many boxes of financial paperwork they had to rent a U-Haul van to drive it all away.
It appears everything is intact, but we will not know that until we actually go through each and every document.
The State Insurance Commissioner had worried some evidence might be destroyed after Channel 2 exposed potentially criminal activity. Mary Morton said she paid in full for her daughter Emily's treatment, only to find out their insurance was then billed $166,000.
It was ridiculous. I mean, they billed for $58,000 for a doctor visits that she never saw a doctor.
8 of Emily's bills said partial hospitalization, which her insurance company rejected, saying coverage is not available for your continued stay at Narconon. But Narconon is only licensed for outpatient care.
The insurance case basically involves services that were not provided and also services that were supposedly authorized by doctors who did not authorize them.
Investigators say those doctors are cooperating. What is your hope here?
Basically, that we can stop the fraud and move forward, and the people of the state are not victimized.
Now, there were no arrests today. First, investigators will have to go through all of those boxes of evidence and look at every single detail. Now, coming up tonight at 6, you'll hear what families of former patients have to say about all of this and how this investigation ties back to other potential problems for this facility. Reporting live in Norcross, Jody Fleischer, Channel 2 Action News.
Local families desperate to save a loved one thought they found the answer, but it came with a shocking price. Thousands of dollars billed to credit cards they never opened. Channel 2's investigative reporter Jody Fleischer is here with the new twist on a fraud case she's been working since last year. Jody?
Jovita, Narconon of Georgia continues to operate to this day, despite 3 ongoing fraud investigations. Whistleblowers tell me the drug rehab in Gwinnett County is really all about money. And we keep hearing from families who say they've been victims of crooked care.
Jonathan was just full of love. He had a great sense of humor. And then there was the dark side that the addiction got a hold of.
Jonathan Dacey had been in and out of rehab for years. His addiction to pain pills had his family worried and desperate.
How much faith did you put in the program in the beginning?
2,000%.
The Daceys found Narconon of Georgia on the internet. For the first time, Jonathan seemed excited and hopeful.
This time he was really invested. He wanted to be a good dad to his son. He really wanted to change his life.
But the family couldn't afford the $30,000 price tag. Narconon said no problem.
They would help with the financing, everything we wanted to hear.
But Narconon said their credit history wasn't good enough. In stepped Jonathan's uncle Scott. He gave his personal information simply to vouch that the family would pay. Then these arrived in the mail.
No one ever said that we were going to open up 2 credit cards in your name.
The bills showed Narconon charged $3,000 on a Capital One card and $7,300 on a City card. $10,300 all in one day, all in Scott's name.
I hit the roof. We all did.
Terry Anderson had the same reaction after writing a $5,000 check to Narconon for her son's treatment.
It seemed like it was what we needed. The next thing we know, we had Discover card.
And a Capital One card, $11,000 in charges. Then debits started showing up on her bank account. The family paid nearly $24,000 out of pocket.
If they had asked me for $1 million, I probably would have tried to find a way to get it to them.
But her son was only there 3.5 months, and a medical condition kept him from the program's main component, hours each day in a sauna.
If all they want is your money and they don't provide any services, then that could potentially become a criminal offense.
We showed those charges to Gwinnett District Attorney Danny Porter. Days later, his investigators were part of this.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
They joined the insurance commissioner's fraud team and hauled away nearly 24 hard drives and laptops and boxes of financial and medical records.
We're actively and vigorously pursuing an investigation.
In January, Channel 2 exposed $166,000 in Narconon insurance billing for another family that had already paid for the program in full.
That's what Narconon really has a history of, is saying one thing and doing another.
Whistleblower Luke Catton helped run Narconon's flagship facility in Oklahoma, where a new lawsuit says a client there received 2 credit cards through the mail for which she did not apply. $14,500 at a 23% interest rate.
They're doing whatever it takes to make sure that somebody's going to come in the door, and you remove all financial barriers. If it includes creative financing, then it does.
As soon as they have your money and it's really solidified, then everything goes downhill after that.
Jonathan left Narconon after only 1 month. He died 3 months later.
My true feeling in the bottom of my heart is that they were directly responsible for my son's death.
That was 3 years ago, and they're still paying off that credit card.
To this day, the pain is really harsh, really harsh.
We love you, Jonathan.
Capital One canceled the charge for the Daceys when they explained what happened, but they are still fighting about that city card to this day. Narconon International sent me a statement saying the conduct would be contrary to Narconon's policy, but because of strict privacy laws, it cannot discuss details of any of the claims. Now, you can read the complete statement on our website at WSBTV.com.
And Jody, you've been following this for a long time. Any idea when we could see some action from prosecutors on all this?
Well, investigators say it could be quite a few months because they need to go through all of the evidence they seized during that search warrant. And the key will be using those computer records to pinpoint exactly who was online when those cards were opened and who filed all of those insurance bills.
You have more work ahead for yourself.
We sure do. We're working on a number of other angles. We've heard from so many families that just really want action out of this.
I think there's a level of unspoken trust there, and they broke the trust.
Mary Morton says she's thrilled her case could be the one to bring down Narconon of Georgia. She enrolled her daughter Emily last year and paid in full. Then she noticed insurance claims, even for days Emily wasn't there.
I think that anytime you're dealing with this in your family, you're vulnerable. But do you think that people are going to take advantage of that vulnerability? No.
She contacted Channel 2, and we showed those bills to state investigators.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
They hauled away nearly 24 hard drives and laptops and boxes of financial and medical records based on this search warrant. It says 2 insurance companies, United Healthcare and Blue Cross Blue Shield, each reported hundreds of claims filed by Narconon since 2009. For 48 patients, Narconon billed nearly $3 million. More than $1 million of it was actually paid.
The insurance case basically involves services that were not provided and also services that were supposedly authorized by doctors who did not authorize them.
The warrant says a large majority of the bills named doctors Lisa Robbins and Casey Locarnini. As we reported in January, each said they did not oversee any actual drug treatment and only performed physicals on new patients to make sure they could handle hours each day in a sauna, the cornerstone of the Narconon program.
Did you ever visit the Narconon facility?
No.
The search warrant noted, as we did, that those insurance claims included room and board and partial hospitalization, even though Narconon is only licensed as an outpatient facility. Last fall, we first exposed Narconon for advertising itself as a residential facility. The state has since taken steps to revoke the program's license.
I don't understand how they're still open. It makes no sense to me.
Investigators say it could take months to go through all of the evidence they seized in the search. A spokesman told us Narconon is aware of the investigation and follows customary and professional billing practices and procedures.
So, Jody, $3 million, that is a lot of money, and it sounds like this case continues to grow.
It sure is. The investigators told me that amount will definitely grow. They've only spoken with 2 insurance companies so far, and that's for 48 patients. Narconon's former director told me thousands of people have been through this program.
Major developments tonight after we exposed a drug rehab center accused of lying about its license, charging credit cards without permission, and financially ruining families.
There are predators that are, sucking the life out of people by doing this.
New at 6, 5 families are suing, and there could be thousands more. Good evening. I'm Erin Coleman in for Jovita Moore.
I'm Justin Farmer, and Narconon of Georgia has been the subject of a series of Channel 2 Action News investigations. Tonight, the drug rehab is potentially facing a new class action lawsuit. Channel 2 investigative reporter Jody Fleischer here with what she uncovered that is now part of the case.
Justin, there's evidence some of these same practices are happening at Narconons around the country. But this Georgia lawsuit is the first class action to call the whole program fraud. The couple you're about to meet hopes this will be the case to get the entire drug rehab program shut down.
19 20-year-old Blaze Burgess was a gifted musician, a star athlete, friendly and popular. His parents did not know he was also addicted to pain pills.
We didn't know how to deal with it. We were desperate.
They found Narconon of Georgia on the internet and called to check it out.
And he said, we got over a 90% success rate. Well, hey, I'm sold.
They said that it was one of the best programs in the world, you know, on their website.
That website also claimed Narconon was a residential program. As a Channel 2 investigation exposed last fall, it's only licensed for outpatient care.
They were residential to us the whole time we were talking to them.
They later learned their $2,000 a month was paying for Blaze to share a regular apartment with 3 or 4 other addicts. And the alleged drug treatment? Written courses in Scientology. 5 hours a day in a sauna and mega doses of the vitamin niacin.
Did any of that work?
No.
And they're still paying for it. They say Narconon opened several credit cards in their names without permission and billed roughly $19,000.
There's nothing but fraud happening there. It's all about making money. It's not about helping anyone.
In this class action complaint, the Burgesses and 4 other families say Narconon committed fraud by misrepresenting the program as a complete cure, that its staff members were certified, and that it was properly licensed.
They outright lie about it.
Attorney Jeff Harris wants every current and former Narconon patient reimbursed, and then some.
There's nothing drug or alcohol rehabilitative about it. It was written by a guy who's a science fiction writer.
The suit even names an arm of the Church of Scientology, which licenses the program's teachings.
I feel like they're vultures.
The Burgesses lost their home and are still fighting financial ruin.
The main thing is to stop them from preying on other families.
The suit also alleges racketeering, theft by deception, mail and wire fraud, and false statements. The Gwinnett District Attorney has opened a criminal investigation to look at some of those as well. And an attorney for Narconon denied all the allegations, saying the case lacks merit and is simply an attempt to get money. John, the insurance company says Narconon of Georgia lied on its application and that the past year of coverage should be void. That's critical since 5 families filed a class action lawsuit which could be worth millions of dollars, based largely on allegations of insurance fraud, credit card fraud, and all-around misrepresentation we first exposed.
The main thing is to stop them from preying on other families.
Rhonda and Ben Burgess thought Narconon of Georgia would be the answer for their son's addiction to pain pills. Instead, they say they ended up with credit cards opened in their names without permission.
There's nothing but fraud happening there. It's all about making money. It's not about helping anyone.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
Investigators with the State Insurance Commissioner's fraud unit agree. They raided Narconon's Norcross facility in April after a series of Channel 2 investigations caught the facility advertising long-term residential care, though it's only licensed for outpatient services. This mom told us she paid in full for her daughter's treatment, then noticed $166,000 in claims to their insurance company.
I don't think there's any doubt that there was some insurance fraud going on.
5 families filed this class action lawsuit on behalf of all current and former patients, hoping to recover enough money to force the rehab program out of business. They say it failed to disclose its roots within the Church of Scientology, an arm of which licenses the program's teachings and its treatment cornerstone, hours each day in a sauna.
If they're candid with folks and tell them all those things and they make the decision to still go there, that's fine. But you can't make misrepresentations and then have families rely on those misrepresentations.
Now Narconon's own insurance company wants to void its coverage. In this federal court filing, Evanston Insurance says Narconon made the misrepresentations with the actual intent to deceive, and that the company has no obligation to defend or indemnify Narconon.
The insurance company is simply saying, we don't insure for fraud, and if they committed fraud, then we're not going to insure them, and that's not a surprising position for them to take.
He says he'll follow the trail of money paid by his clients, $30,000 to $50,000 each. He believes Narconon funneled money to its parent company, Narconon International, and even to the Church of Scientology itself, with plenty of families left fighting financial ruin.
I feel like they're vultures, they're predators that are, sucking the life out of people by doing this. They're taking advantage of a tragic situation.
A federal judge has yet to rule on the status of that insurance policy. A Narconon attorney declined to comment because it's pending litigation. The Gwinnett County District Attorney has also opened a criminal case on all of this.
So
So, Jody, the state is supposed to regulate these rehab programs. What's Narconon's status?
Well, last December, after our original investigation, the state agency which licenses drug rehabs re-inspected and then revoked Narconon's license. Now, that's been under appeal for 9 months now. The hearing has been delayed a couple of times. It's scheduled again for the end of this month.
A drug rehab facility at the center of a Channel 2 Action News investigation is closing its doors for good.
They should be held liable for what they're doing.
The deal struck and why families are still not satisfied. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jovita Moore.
I'm Justin Farmer, and Narconon of Georgia is now closed more than a year after Channel 2 Action News began investigating the treatment center. Complaints included operating as a residential facility, even though it was only licensed for outpatient treatment, allegations of insurance fraud, and workers accused of drinking with patients.